You're tuned in to the Binge It Babe podcast with your host, me, Candace Estelle. All right, babes, let's get binging. All right, hello. My name is Candace Estelle, and I am going to be your host for the Binge It Babe podcast. I really love media, and not just movies and not just TV, but I also really love to read. And when I really enjoy something, I end up just fucking crushing it. I will just go through every single episode or book in a series or movie in a franchise, and I will just devour it whole. And then after about, 3 days to a month, depending on what I've just binged, then I finally kind of I process it and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what that was. I have been doing this for literal years. I do have ADHD, so I do think that each new piece of media is a yummy little dopamine hit, and then I get to go, oh, yum, 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 and then, process it and enjoy it for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, poof, it's done, it's gone, and I couldn't be sadder, depending on what it is. So I thought, you know what? I really wanted to start a podcast. I'm sure lots of people want to start a podcast, and maybe everyone could or should or won't or don't. It doesn't matter to me. But I know that I really wanted to start a podcast, and I just didn't know what I wanted to talk about for about a year and a half. And I thought, oh, I could do this idea, or maybe I could just talk to people because I am fun and entertaining, or no, because then I'll be aimless, and if I don't have anyone to talk to, that might just seem like an interesting person talking at the wall. I use interesting and not crazy because I don't think it's fun to be throwing out that word too much, especially when it's not what I am. What I am is a super cool, super cute babe in her 30s who is an American, if you cannot tell. And I am also an expat, which means I don't currently live in America. I noped out a couple of years ago. I'll let you guys decide why I did that, but I will point out that I am a Mexican American woman. Okay. So, yeah, I just decided I wanted to try something new, try a new adventure. I came out here with my American partner, and we were here through the pandemic together, did a whole bunch of things in our lives together. And then he said, nah, dude. And I just thought, oh, fuck. And I got kind of scared, and then I figured it out. And now I live in my own little house, which you can see from over here. And you can see a little bit over there that this house is eclectic. It's colorful and it's loud and it's cozy and it's inviting and warm. And that's exactly what I wanted my home to feel like, because my home previously didn't really feel like mine. It kind of felt like I was always staying in someone else's apartment. Even though it was our home, we never lived there without each other. I never got to do anything with it that made it feel like mine. And I've been here for 5 years in Europe, and it's been an incredibly lonely 5 years, even with a partner. Maybe that says something, but lonely not in a way where I desperately need a friend here, but just in a way where I feel kind of wrapped up and, everybody is going out on the weekends and going on vacations with their friends and getting married and having children and all of these beautiful, wonderful, fantastic life events. And I have figured out how to make really good stovetop popcorn. And I have figured out that my favorite TV shows and movies bring me the same comfort that maybe some of my best friends back home do. And I've also figured out that I'm totally okay with not being in the same universe of success that a lot of people are in, or following those rules of success that people are in. In fact, I have no fucking interest in them whatsoever. I'm in my 30s. I don't have a kid. I don't have a husband. I don't have a partner or, I don't know, a career necessarily. I do have a cool job and I'm looking for an even cooler job, but there's nothing really that speaks to my soul like media does. Media makes me really happy. And if I had maybe had a little bit more courage and a little bit more confidence when I was younger, I certainly would have ventured out and tried my hand at acting or comedy specifically because this bitch funny. I just want to point out that when my partner of 5 years dumped me, he dumped me in an incredibly brutal and mean way. And afterwards, I said, "Is there anything you like about me?" And he goes, "Yeah, you're really fucking funny." And I just thought, oh, I thought it was the tits that he was here for, but it wasn't. It was the personality and cool. No, I don't have children. I don't have a partner. And I don't have a degree, although I would like to work on that. What I do have is two amazing cats, one amazing dog. I used to have another dog, but we split the children in the divorce like Parent Trap, except we won't be parent trapped. And I have my cute little house. I bought my little house, and that's an amazing accomplishment. And I do crazy, weird stuff to it. Like, I'm not going to show you my living room because I also can't reach the camera, so I can't turn you around. But it is lilac and white stripes, and my front foyer area is bright pink, and my kitchen is in the middle of a remodel, so you're also not going to see that anytime soon because it's a fucking disaster. But that shit's going to be pink as well. I love to cook and I love to bake. So I'm basically just like your dream trad wife without any of those morals, traditions. I have morals, they're just not those. I certainly don't expect to be a house bitch to anyone for the rest of my life. And that's a bummer because honestly, the life I'd love to live is just luxuriating and eating chocolate and reading books and making brownies and really good chicken. I don't know. I'm a steak girl, but I also love chicken. Huh, random tangent. Pull myself back. So, also, I hope that I become way less stiff when talking in the microphone. I don't know how to do it yet, and I hope you guys who listen to me kind of get to see me grow and change and maybe get better at this and hopefully support me because I want to look at you guys as, my babes, my friends, and people who can riff with me about how I feel about media or certain actors or books or whatever. Let's have a chat and a conversation and maybe fill that hole because my hole hasn't been filled in so long. And I'm fine with it. What I am not fine with is not sharing the joy and the thoughts that I have because I have a lot of thoughts and I have no one to talk to. And that's where you come in. So I hope you enjoy this journey with me. I will say a couple of things that I like and I don't like, and then you guys can lose your fucking minds. And I also want to talk about how I expect this podcast to go. All right. So my name is Candace Estelle. I don't want to use my last name because it means nothing to me. I have two cats and a dog. I live in my cute little house here in Europe. I also got a fish tank. My ex didn't want me to have a fish tank. He was like, "Why? I don't care about it." No. So then I just couldn't have a fish tank. And now I bought myself a fish tank. It's a secondhand fish tank, so I didn't even pay that much for it. And I've got tetras in there and some guppies and a whole bunch of live plants and some scramps. But the thing that brings me the most joy is I have a little pet frog. He's an aquatic frog, African dwarf frog, I believe, and I named him Kermit. And he just does this in the water like all day, and then he'll hop around, and then he'll be like, "Ah," and I'll sit on my stairs and I'll stare at him jumping around, and I'll talk to him and tell him how cute he is. And that brings a lot of joy. My favorite TV shows are varied. So if we're talking comedy, yeah, I absolutely was on the Office, Parks and Rec, Brooklyn Nine-Nine train. I enjoy all of those shows. I would say The Office I have watched so much that I'm at the point where I don't want to see it again, maybe for a while. Parks and Rec actually used to be a show that I started watching with a friend who has passed away. And so I really enjoy that show, but I don't binge it as much as I used to because now I just think of him and sometimes it's a little sad. So it really depends on the mood, but it's one of my favorite shows. I think that Mike Schnur is awesome. He did The Good Place. I love The Good Place. I watched that in real time, so I didn't necessarily binge it. I watched it as it came out, and I really loved it. It was a really beautiful show, really funny and fun, cutting, and I enjoy stuff like that. But probably one of my favorite shows is Bob's Burgers. I don't know what happened. I do not like adult animation. I've tried The Simpsons. It's okay. Yes, I did start from season 1, episode 1. I'm not jumping into the middle of fucking anything. So, started season 1, episode 1, and I just thought, all right. And that's kind of just how I felt. And I think I watched about 8 or 9 seasons like that in about 2 weeks or so. And it never elicited much joy. It was just like, oh, yeah, and so that is what it is. However, when it comes to shows like South Park, Family Guy, American Dad, Rick and Morty, I can't fucking stand them. I don't like adult animation in a lot of ways because it usually is so dirty. And it's kind of like, oh, it's this crazy juxtaposition because, it's a cartoon, but they're disgusting. And I am like, no, give me Ratatouille any day. Bob's Burgers is pretty pure and it has some dark humor in it, but there's no fucking. It's not blatant, overt disgustingness. And I'm not saying that in like a grossed out judgmental way because I think if that's your sense of humor, then good that you have content that you can enjoy for that. Something else that's incredibly popular that I could never get into, anime and manga of like any kind. I don't get it. The writing is a little not my taste, and the art style is not my taste. And although Studio Ghibli, beautiful, really pretty to look at. Never actually seen any of it. If I was going to try anime, that is what I would try. I just haven't worked up to actually doing that. Let's see. So those are sitcoms that I love. I obviously have also watched stuff like Modern Family and Big Bang Theory and basically anything that was on early 2010s when I had satellite TV, I watched. And then now that I'm an adult and stuff is streaming more and I can afford TV again, I have gone back to finish those shows. As a teenager, my absolute favorite TV show was Smallville. I just rewatched that partially for, completing that story arc, but also for the purposes of the podcast. And my God, have my taste changed. I, some of, I'll talk about it when I talk about it, but, 10 seasons of that now, rough, but also incredibly entertaining and fun. I also really enjoy maybe some more critically acclaimed shows if we're thinking about it. Recent ones, I love Yellow Jackets. It's so dark and twisted, and I don't know what it is, but it calls that like deep, feminine, feral piece of me out, and I am mesmerized by it. I love it. We'll talk about it later. I love Yellowstone for a totally different reason. It's just cowboy Succession. My God, did I love Succession. I watched Succession in real time um, after the first three seasons. So I hadn't heard about it. And then someone made me watch it. And I was like, I don't want to watch something serious. I'm not in the mood. Because sometimes you get in those binge circles. I think I watched Bob's Burger almost every day for about a year and a half when I discovered it because I was just hooked. I couldn't get away from it. I was Tina for Halloween. My hair was super short at that time and I had bangs still and I pulled that shit off like a pro. And then someone was like, "Please, I cannot watch any more Bob's Burgers. Please, please, please." And I thought, and they put on Succession and I was so pouty because I was like, I'm not going to care about these people in their business suits. I won't know what's going on. And after the first episode, I was like, what the fuck is going on with this family and these people? And I should have known better because I enjoy Adam McKay. I don't know if you guys are aware, but he did the movie Vice. I believe he also did The Big Short. The Big Short is fantastic and really well done, and Vice is like top 10 movie for me just because I really enjoy that sarcastic, very witty, quick banter point of view. And Adam McKay and Will Ferrell as a vehicle really deliver that. So I loved Succession, Yellowstone, Yellow Jackets. Let's see, what else serious do I enjoy? I'm sure there's more, but I can't think of anything right now because the only thing popping in my head is Breaking Bad, which I did not enjoy. I did not finish it. I think I watched the first three seasons because I'm a firm believer of giving it a go. And at no point did I give a shit about this family, this man, none of it. I was just I was like, ugh, oh, what? That's the move you're going to make? Ugh. Which is, indicative that you don't really like the characters. I have watched Game of Thrones. It is way too much nudity and sexual violence for my taste, but I watched it because someone I was dating at the time was like, it's really important to me. So I binged that bitch. I think I watched five of the six seasons because that's how far through we had gotten. I really enjoy fantasy, but like I said, I'm not someone who enjoys overtly sexual content. I'm a fade to black kind of girl in books and movies and TV. The only time I'm hoping things don't just fade to black is in my own real life, and that part of my life is non existent at the moment, so I really don't worry about it there either. What I will say is that I enjoy the storytelling, but like I said, some of those pieces weren't for me. And I think because I wasn't so invested, I really enjoyed the last season. Like, I loved it. It was pure chaos and madness. And I found it so funny. And I have not told a single soul since it came out because everyone was so upset about it. They're losing their minds. And I just remember being like, oh, I kind of liked it. So don't tell anyone I said that. I'll get so much fucking hate. But there you go. There's some of my taste, some of my favorite TV shows. My favorite movies are totally nostalgic, right? It's Forrest Gump, it's Twister, it's Jurassic Park. The story does go that Jurassic Park is the first movie I ever saw in theaters as a little baby, and I've been obsessed ever since, basically. I went to the 25th anniversary movie back in theaters. When the new trilogy came out, I went dressed as a dinosaur. I had a pink dinosaur onesie that I went in. I'm a huge fan. And a lot of that is also nostalgia, obviously. I also really enjoy Chicago and Moulin Rouge and Mamma Mia. I really love Mamma Mia. And I'm trying to think of what else I enjoy. Maybe stuff that's a little more adult. Uh, you know what? Fuck it. Who cares? I like what I like, and I don't really care about other people's opinions I enjoyed Fight Club when I saw it. That movie was so crazy and trippy to me. I was like, "What?" And I do believe that is the first penis I ever saw as a teenager. I was a very sheltered child, and I'm fine with that. I think that's the first penis I ever saw. So that's crazy. And also something to unpack in therapy, I guess, for me. Um, let's see. I do like Fight Club, but I think I like it for different reasons than those creepy bros like it for. And I enjoy musicals. Excuse me, boys. I have a male cat and I have a male dog, and they like to get up to fucking no good. And the person that keeps them in line is my female cat, who is also an absolute bully. And right now they're trying to open doors and get my attention. Excuse you, Charlie. No. Go on. His meow is really faint, so I don't think you guys could hear it, but he is yelling at me about the fact that I told him no to opening a door. All right, now he's walked away. So, those are some of the movies I like. They're all nostalgic movies. I'm trying to think of recent movies that I really liked. Oh, fucking Barbie. I loved Barbie so much. I will absolutely do an episode on Barbie. And now that we're thinking about Barbie and I'm thinking about America Ferrera, who I have grown up with and really just adore and love, I will say that Superstore, one of my favorite TV shows. Can't believe I forgot that one. Okay, so yeah, Barbie fucking amazing. I did Barbenheimer that week, and I definitely preferred Barbie. Oppenheimer is not, eh, it's fine. It's not my favorite Christopher Nolan. My favorite Christopher Nolan is also not the Batmans, in case you're wondering. It's not Inception either. My favorite Christopher Nolan is Interstellar. That movie is so beautiful and so well done. Matthew McConaughey and Jessica Chastain do just a phenomenal job. And I have rewatched that movie recently, and I'm pretty sure that's the first time I've ever seen Timothy Chalamet, which is great because he is so little. And then that brings me to one of my other favorite movies, and also one of the topics I will cover in this podcast. Timothy Chalamet reminds me of one of my absolute favorite movies, which is Little Women. He is in there, and he plays Laurie. Little Women is not only one of my favorite movies, it is also one of my favorite books. And it's an excellent audiobook as well. I have the audiobook where Laura Dern is reading it to you. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but not only is Laura Dern an icon, an incredibly beautiful and amazing human being who was a champion for LGBTQIA plus rights in the 90s, she's also in Jurassic Park and Little Women. She plays Mrs. March. She plays the mom. So she's wonderful. And she does an excellent audiobook version of Little Women if you are someone who doesn't have the time or the patience to read. I highly recommend doing that on a commute or in the shower or whenever you have a minute to yourself, if you have a minute to yourself. So, yes, Little Women, one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite books. Greta Gerwig is amazing and astonishing and does a wonderful job with certain things. I haven't watched Lady Bird in a long time. When it came out, I think I was much younger and I didn't like it. So maybe I'll rewatch it to see if I like it now. Charlie, get away from the door. Look, I would cut out me getting after the cats or the dog or any of that, but honestly, this is what it is. This is what life's like. I'm surprised they haven't jumped up here to yell in my face. That's a very common occurrence. Okay, so we've got favorite TV shows. They're basically all sitcoms except for Succession, Yellow Jackets, and Yellowstone. And those are all recent, so that's great. Um, Movies. They're all nostalgia pieces. Oh my gosh. Please stop. Domino, my love. Shut up. Domino. You know, I don't even need children because I have pets and they're loud and dirty and they mess everything up. They make a mess everywhere and they're expensive and they love me dearly and I feel like that's basically a child. I don't know. I've got a cat over here who's decided to lay on top of a piece of paper. My dog is upset for no reason. The other one is sunbathing outside like the precious little queen that she is. Okay, TV, movies, a book. So, Little Women and Lessons in Chemistry are two of my favorite books. Little Women is by Louisa May Alcott. Lessons in Chemistry is by Bonnie Garmis. And both of them are beautiful, wonderful reads for women. I'm sure anyone could enjoy them, but I know that for me, having experienced the female life and point of view, they really speak to me. I really, really love them. You can see my books behind me, some of them, and I love books so much, and I have so much joy when I go into a bookstore, which is kind of unfortunate because I live in a country where the bookstores are not in English, so I can't really go into a bookstore or a library with much variety. I get really lucky that sometimes there will be like a shelf. And it's like this shelf is in English, and I'll go, wonderful. I'll take them all. And that's irresponsible because I do not make enough money to be doing that shit. I just went to London a few weeks ago and I only packed half of my suitcase. And then in the other half of the suitcase, I went to the bookstore. I went to 3 bookstores. And I came home with enough books to cover that half of the suitcase. Plus, part of the suitcase was taken up by Krispy Kreme donuts, which I also love and do not exist where I am. So, yes, lessons in chemistry, Little Women. I actually really enjoy Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park as a book as well. It's really enjoyable to hear all of the pieces. I think also because I'm such a fan of the movie that I can, put together all of the little breadcrumbs that they use in the movies. Because even in the newer movies that are different, they definitely still use Michael Crichton's like the skeleton, the book, it's there, and I enjoy that because it's basically like a little peekaboo Easter egg for the fans, and I think that that's really lovely and beautiful. I am a huge Marvel fan. Like I have seen almost every single Marvel movie in theaters, opening night if I could help it, and was an adult, and there was no COVID. Um, Actually, one of my favorite stories to tell is that when the newest Spider-Man came out, live action Spider-Man, the Far From Home, I my birthday is in December. I'm in Europe. We took COVID really seriously, and so we kept locking down, but we weren't locked down at this point. I was going to have a friend visit me from the States, and she did not make it because of the COVID restrictions going back to being really stringent. This is 2021. And I was really bummed that she wasn't going to make it. None of my friends here wanted to do anything with me for my birthday. They were all really worried about being together during COVID. And I was like, okay, that's totally fine. I'm not missing this movie because that was what I asked to do. I was like, we could just go see Spider Man. That would be great. That's what I care about. My partner at the time uh, also didn't feel like going. So I went by myself for my birthday to go see Spider-Man Far From Home. And then right around the week that it came out, where I am decided to lock down even crazier. And so everything had to close by 5 p.m., including movie theaters, obviously, and the movies almost don't even open that early here. So what happened was that I had to come into the city taking a train about 45 minutes to watch a 7:30 a.m. showing of Spider-Man No Way Home, Far From Home. Holy shit, I'm losing my mind. Homecoming. No Way Home. Far From Home. No Way Home. No Way Home. The newest one. I'm embarrassing myself. I am. I know it's not Homecoming. Yes. No Way Home. That's embarrassing. I apologize. I promise I am a fan, but I am also a human. Okay, so No Way Home. I'm seeing a 7:30 a.m. showing. The movie theater is built out where like you buy however many tickets you want, and then there's a space on each side of you, basically, so no one could sit next to you. And I went by myself. I get there at like 7:15. I do think I still bought popcorn because the experience also was for my birthday, and I am in a theater that for the regulations is packed. It's the fullest theater that it could be at 7:30 in the morning on a Wednesday, I believe, because here movies come out on Wednesdays, which is kind of cool because in the States they'll be out on Friday, which means sometimes I get 2 full days ahead of no one because I don't really talk to anyone in the States, but I do know that I'm ahead of you guys, and that's really great. So, Wednesday morning, everything is, closing at 5. I go in, it's cold, it's December, and then I watch the movie. I'm losing my fucking mind at this movie. It is awesome. You know, the twists, the turns. I laughed, I cried, it was great. I had a blast. And the wonderful thing is that was a cinema, like a theater where everyone was having a blast. We were all obvious gigantic Marvel fans because someone who's not a fan is not getting up at 7:30 in the morning to go by themselves to see this movie. Actually, I had to get up at 6 because I had to take a 45-minute train in to even go see it. And everything shut down in the country. No more theaters, nothing like that. 2 days later for at least a month and a half. So right at my birthday. My birthday is December 23rd. And I think on the 21st is when everything just closed. And I got in, saw the movie on a Wednesday, had a blast, could not stop talking about it, was so excited. Um, and I'm so glad that I went. Even though I had to go by myself, I went and I didn't have to wait because in the States, things didn't close down like that, which meant that spoilers were inevitable had I not seen it when I did. And if you don't think that that's important, then this is not the podcast for you because spoilers are a fucked up thing to do when something is like recent. Unless you're like, oh, hey, spoiler alert, don't look here unless you want to be spoiled. I don't want to be spoiled. I know that I'm going to see the Marvel movie, period. I don't care if it's good or bad or long or short, if it's a TV, if it's movies, I don't give a shit. I know I'm going to go see it. So I don't even watch the trailers because I don't need to. I don't want too much of the story given away. So I won't watch a trailer when it comes to franchises that I know I'll be watching. I loved that movie. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite movies because Marvel is its own umbrella, you know? And I would say it's one of my favorite Marvel movies. It's in that umbrella. But Marvel movies as a whole are like this pleasure that I don't want to say, oh, this one only, or these three out of all of them. Because as a whole is really what makes Marvel cool to me. It's building that universe that it's been building since I was a teenager. And I love it. I love it. I'm a huge superhero person. Smallville was my favorite TV show when I was a teenager. And Marvel at that time had just started and was skyrocketing. And when Marvel wasn't big, I was watching the Sony Spider-Mans and, the Christopher Nolan Batmans and not Christopher Nolan Batmans, the Joel Schumacher Batman and all of that. That has been what I've enjoyed since I was a kid. So I don't ever really put those in the same vein of like, here are my favorite movies. What I will say with my favorite movies and TV shows is that um, Tom Hanks is one of my favorite actors, right? So I guess I'm talking more about actors now. Tom Hanks is one of my favorite actors, along with Jim Carrey. And I actually will refer to them as my dad. more specifically because I I don't have one. I am someone who's very lean on ties, including family ties. And so I don't have a dad, and I grew up watching these two men specifically who brought a lot of joy and comfort into my life. I love Forrest Gump so much. It brings me so much comfort, but it's also just a really beautiful movie. I don't think I can watch that movie. I don't think I ever have watched that movie without tearing up at some point. I've always very much so felt like a Jenny, you know. When I did have a dad, I did have a Jenny dad. So for me, Tom Hanks has been a huge comfort, be it, him voicing Toy Story or Forrest Gump or Big or Splash or newer things that he's done like The Terminal, which I love. I know that's not newer anymore, but it is newer than Splash. I loved The Terminal. Um, Catch Me If You Can was so fun. Da Vinci Code was entertaining. I don't really think I loved it. But if Tom Hanks is going to be in something, there's a really good chance I'm just going to see it just because he's there. Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is what made me laugh as a kid. I actually have an autographed picture from him. I hope it's real because I've kept it for 17 years at this point. And yeah, Ace Ventura, which obviously hasn't aged well with a lot of the comedy. But for me, it was all about the animals and the silly noises and faces and the ridiculous hair. Um, Lots of joy. And Dumb and Dumber, lots of joy. The Mask, lots of joy. Also, Cameron Diaz is, oh my God. Oh my God, is she beautiful. And I've heard that she's like an absolute amazing sweetheart as well, which is great. But for me, like Jim Carrey and Tom Hanks are these two actors that, yeah, I very much so, there's so much comfort and warmth there because they were there in my childhood and I adore them. And if you are wondering who the actor is who's my mom, it's Maya Rudolph. I love her. I think she is so beautiful. And I do think I'm a little too old to actually be her child, but there's something about her where I just feel like if she hugged me, I would cry, but I also would feel so healed and warm. And, whenever I see her or watch any of her skits from SNL or her movies, I feel so much warmth again, which I think is really great. Um, so those three are kind of like God tier for me. It's this parental love bubble. It's nostalgia and warmth and kindness through their acting, I guess. Or also as far as I'm aware, like Tom Hanks seems like an amazing, lovely person outside of being an actor. And Maya Rudolph is just phenomenal. She's so wonderful outside of being an actor. And that's really important to me because there are a lot of people who are great actors who are great assholes. And I don't know one off the top of my head that I could confirm, but there are just certain people where I'm just like, ugh. And it kind of ruins what they're in for me. I don't want to I don't want to see it anymore. I don't want them on my screen sometimes. Other actors that I really enjoy. Okay, this won't be a hot take, but it'll be a silly take. Is I really enjoy John Cena. I think he's really funny, and I think he seems like a really awesome dude. And I think that we should just be friends. Like, I think we would be like great friends. And I just feel like he gives off like cool buddy vibes, hardcore, and I would love to be his friend, I think, and watch wrestling matches and just be like cheering and crazy in the crowds. And I really want to arm wrestle him, and I think I could win. I'm not being crazy. I think I could win. I think I could. I've got a tactic. So hit me up, John Cena, because I am minxie, and I could beat you, I think. Okay, let's see. Those are people I love. Those are things I love. A few things I hate, like Breaking Bad. I fucking hated that show. Couldn't finish it. Didn't enjoy the characters. The writing was, I'm sure, good, but because I couldn't get into it, it never mattered to me. For the most part, I am a simple little creature. I am someone who you say, here's the premise, and I'll say, okay, that's a premise I'm cool with. I will just accept whatever's happening. Even, and then I'll read this online discourse, and people will just be like, that's not realistic. And sometimes I'm like, guys, I have a real microphone. There are dragons in this show. Why are we worried about things being realistic? Well, realistically, the bumblebee should not be able to fly, but it does, right? It's got its fat little body flying around, making honey, saving the world. So why are we worried about shit like that? I find so much comfort in media. And because I have a really busy brain, sitting in the quiet is not ideal. Like I am listening to music or an audiobook or a TV show or a movie series or videos or something at all times. And while I'm doing that, I'm probably also doing something else. In fact, right now, it is kind of difficult for me to only be talking because also what I'm hearing is any noise my cat makes, my dog makes, the water tank, from the water filter on the fish tank going, the crinkle of the cat's fountain over here, being like, so I hope to be as engaging as I can be and to stay engaged and to be entertaining and give maybe hot takes. But to be honest, I probably don't really have a lot of hot takes when it comes to stuff. As long as you're not being hateful, hurtful, mean, blatantly stupid, I'm probably going to be on board with what you got going on. Another comfort show of mine that I really love is Gilmore Girls. And now that I've gotten older, I definitely am like, oh, what an interesting way to be an adult mother, child, person, human. But also, it's the nostalgia. It's that Stars Hollow feels like home, right? Because that's where all of us would love to kind of be close to the city, but outside, and everyone knows you, and you can walk everywhere you want to go, and it's friendly and lovely, and the trees are great, and you have a wraparound porch. My God, do I love a wraparound porch! I love it. So that's a little bit about me, the media situation going on in my brain. I'm positive I forgot stuff. I should have written something down, but I also wanted to be authentic and off the cuff. And I do think I managed that. It's actually pretty impossible for me to not be authentic. So I'll let you know how I'd like the series this podcast to go. I plan on binging TV, movies, or book series. And I plan to do that TV only if the show is completed. If the show is not completed and it's not something I already watch or am interested in, it needs to have at least, let's say, 3 to 5. I'll decide later, 3 to 5 seasons to it, right? So if you want me to go and watch Grey's Anatomy, please don't do that. That seems like something that would take me 30 years to finish. It's still running, but it's also got a bajillion seasons. So technically, could I do that? Yes. But if you wanted me to binge watch, I don't know. I can't think of anything that I don't watch. Oh, Ghosts, which is, I believe, in NBC, ABC. It's a sitcom about ghosts. And I do think it only has 3 seasons. And I think it's obviously still a live show. It's only got 3 seasons, the American version. The British version is done. So you would have to say, oh, you need to binge the British version. The American version maybe doesn't have enough content to be considered a binge. Now, if I hit a point where I'm running out of things to watch, or I need to watch it, or I just want to do a show, or I get a lot of requests to do shows, then yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. And if we're talking about binging movies, watching a movie is not binging a movie unless that is like Showa or Schindler's List or like the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, where it's a crazy long movie, right? So we're looking at movie franchises, movie series. The Harry Potter movie series is an excellent choice. It's got what, 9 movies to it? That is a binge. It's also something that people love. What other movies would we want to binge? It has to be more than one movie, a movie and a sequel. The Scream series, I'll for sure be doing that in October. I love those movies. Um, a limited series. I can absolutely binge a limited series and consider that a binge because it's definitely longer than a movie. Longer than 2 movies, it's probably going to be about 8 hours worth of something. So that's a day binge. But if it's a movie and we're considering it a binge, we're going to keep it to more than one movie in a franchise. So Fast and the Furious franchise, absolutely, that would be considered a binge. Dune, I guess technically now would be considered a binge because it is 2 movies. They are incredibly long. I've also read the book. Not for me, but I could do that. I'm trying to think of something I couldn't do. I couldn't binge Barbie the movie unless I did all of the Barbie movies. And I am a woman in her 30s, so yeah, maybe we will do that. That also brings me to the other thing I might be doing or would like to do is universes. And I said this kind of when I was talking about like Little Women, and I was like, oh, Timothy Chalamet was in, I think, Interstellar, and he's in Little Women, Greta Gerwig, blah 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 blah. So I might be doing that 6 degrees of separation type thing where it's like, oh, okay, I'll watch all of this actor's filmography. And then from that filmography, I will pick another actor that's in the filmography. And from there, I will watch all of that actor's, you know, filmography. I don't know why I forgot that word after I just said it 2 or 3 times. So what I'm saying is like, let's take Seth Rogen, who I absolutely adore. If you want dude humor, Seth Rogen is my dude humor heart. I'm into it. So if I wanted to do Seth Rogen, then I would start from the beginning and do whatever his first situation was. I don't think it's Super Bad or Pineapple Express. I know that's earlier stuff of his, but I could not believe that that would be the first thing he'd get to do. But I would do whatever that is all the way through, hit The Interview, Neighbors 1 and 2, that TV show he also just did with um Byrne. Yeah. Rosie Byrne? Rose Byrne? Oh my god, how am I forgetting her name? She's in a lot of his stuff. She's really cute. And then I would keep going. I think before that would be like American Pickle, right? I don't think he has anything else out or coming out right now. So I'd watch his entire filmography. Or I could also do that for a director and watch all of Greta Gerwig's filmography, right? Or if it's someone who does, you know, producing, directing, acting, it's all of it. It's their whole kit and caboodle. So if there's a movie where you're like, there's only one movie to it, you can figure out who is in it that you're like, this is this this is the train I want to see. I want to see all of Zac Efron's filmography, all of it in timeline order because I gotta watch shit in order, obviously. So I'll be doing stuff like that, and it doesn't have to just be an actor. You can say, yeah, an actor, all of Meryl Streep's movies. That would take a minute, but my goodness, would that be worthwhile? But also, we could say, oh, okay, all of Wes Anderson's films, right? From Rushmore to what's the one he had a few come out last year to that. And we'll go from there and then chat about it. And we'll chat about it in a large overarching episode. And then we'll do mini episodes for each movie if we'd like, depending on probably depending on how into it I was or how into it you guys are. Um, so yeah, we're going to be doing a 6 degrees thing. But in that respect, let's say I want to start with people I've already talked about, right? So I've talked about John Cena. And we'll start with his filmography. It's not going to be very long, but it will be incredibly entertaining. If you didn't see Peacemaker the series, you are missing out. It's great and has one of the best opening credits I've ever seen. So we would start there, and then I would watch anything else he's done recently. And I believe he just did something with Zac Efron, and then I would watch all of Zac Efron's movies. And then Zac Efron has done something with Seth Rogen. I would watch all of Seth Rogen's movies. And then Seth Rogen has done something with, I don't know. Oh, I'm having a blank. Rose Byrne for sure. Rose Byrne. So I could watch all of her stuff. And she was in Bridesmaids. So then I can watch all of Maya Rudolph's stuff. And then Maya Rudolph was on SNL. So I could choose basically fucking anything and watch that. But I do want to try to keep it interwoven, unless I'm just getting straight up. Oh, stuck to my chair. Unless I'm just getting straight up like, please do this person, do this actor, do this director, producer, writer, do this. I'm going to try to interweave those ones if it's not series based, if it's person based. Series when it comes to books, I'm going to read whatever you ask me to read. But I will tell you, I don't like raunchy, steamy nonsense, right? I don't need to know that anything is pulsing or gyrating or causing any amount of pleasure or wetness. None of that. None of that. I am a fade to black reader. Even when I watch Bridgerton, I'll be like, oh, goodness. And I'll give them privacy. And I know that Penn and Colin cannot see me. I know that they're expecting people to watch. But for me, I'm like, oh, pardon me. And then I make a note on my desk where there's no paper. That's how goofy it gets. So those are the things I'd like to do. Actor retrospectives, series retrospectives, movies retrospectives. And then if there's anything in between that I really feel like reviewing, watching all of, doing all of, I will absolutely be doing that. And something for you, the viewer, more than the listener, will get to enjoy is that there will be little Easter eggs going on when I'm doing things like this. So obviously right now I'm just me, but maybe sometimes you'll notice something else that is reminiscent of the TV show, movie, series, blah, 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 that we're doing. And I might be pointing it out and I might just let you notice it. And I'm really excited for this journey. I've been prepping myself actually for about 6 months to even record anything at all. And today I did my hair for an interview. And so I thought, well, why waste a good hair day? Let's get started. I've had the microphone. I've had the microphone for months. I've been prepared. I just have been nervous. So maybe that comes off today. I'm not going to edit this. I'm going to let this be the mad woman ranting, babbling nonsense that it is. I'm going to say, hey, if you want to follow me on TikTok or Instagram, please do. I would love the engagement. I would love for this to be something I can do all the time, full time, because it brings me a lot of joy. And I hope in turn from being able to do this, I can bring you a lot of joy or maybe a new person to watch, a movie to watch, a book to read, something to bitch about, someone to listen to. All of those things I think are valuable and wonderful and magical. And I look forward to doing this with you. So let's see how it goes. I'm going to stop this, figure out how to upload it onto Spotify, and then I'm going to prep for my very first episode, and that will be Supernatural. All right, babes. Goodbye for now. Oh, Charlie, you're being so nice. You want to come here? Oh, you want to lay on the table? Make all kinds of crunchy noise? Hmm? You're being so naughty. You're being a bad boy. But I love you, so it's okay. Mwah. What do you want to watch, huh? We cannot watch the Aristocats. I mean, we can. Can we? Charlie, pardon me, sir. Get down. Thank you.